Welcome to our webinar on what simplified business travel looks like to a travel manager. I am Ariana Etimadier, a marketing manager at Uber for Business, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. As we wait for everyone to sign in, let's get to know our speakers a little more. Kristina, Michelle, what is your ideal 2023 travel destination for work or for pleasure?
I would say my ideal travel destination is more for on the pleasure side, a tropical island in the Caribbean. I recently was at Turks and Caicos, and the beautiful turquoise water for miles was one of my favorite destinations. It's definitely one of the spots that I would go back to. Along with that one, I think my second best is probably would love to go see Bora Bora.
Great answer. How about you, Michelle?
Yeah, so it's, we've spent our time this year catching up with family all over the world, which is fantastic. And so one place we haven't made it to yet, and again, personal business is fun. I get to go to a lot of great places for business, but for fun, I would love to go to Maui again. So that's on top destinations that we're looking at.
Wow. Yeah, nothing like seeing the beautiful blue waters of Hawaii. That's a great choice. Our agenda today will include today's business travel landscape and what travel managers are experiencing, how Uber for Business helps Lincoln International and Takeda Pharmaceuticals lessen admin-intensive travel management, an overview of Uber for Business, and where business travel is headed. We'll close out our session today with a Q&A. Please use the Q&A box on the left-hand side of your screen to submit your questions at any point throughout today's webinar. We'll aim to get through as many questions as we can, and if we don't get to yours, our team will follow up with you separately via email. Now, I'm pleased to introduce today's speakers for this webinar, Kristina Duber and Michelle DeCosta. As a global Concur specialist for Lincoln International, Kristina has played a key role in optimizing the firm's accounting systems, including the rollout of Uber for Business and Uber One and the implementation of Concur travel and expense to Lincoln offices globally. Kristina's accounting efforts enable her colleagues to focus on providing optimal services to their clients. Kristina has been with the firm since 2018, beginning as an executive assistant on the finance team. Kristina earned an Associate of Arts and Sciences in Meeting and Event Planning from the College of DuPage. Michelle DeCosta, the global head of travel meetings and events at Takeda, uses a connected thinking approach to create extraordinary experiences for her people in the air and on the ground in an always-on, hyper-connected world. Previously named Business Travel News Travel Manager of the Year and one of the top 25 most influential business travel executives for her pioneering work in social media and business travel, she strives to push the boundaries of status quo to make travel and overall experiences easier. So jumping into it, let's take a look at today's business travel landscape. Business travel has recovered, with 86% of companies surveyed by GBTA saying that they are allowing some domestic business travel as of October 22. But business travel is far from business as usual. Travel managers have more responsibilities than pre-pandemic, especially when it comes to safety and travel flexibility. Some roles still require face time, like sales, and flexible working arrangements mean more trips to company headquarters, but remote-first companies may see less corporate travel overall. Plus, rising travel prices, labor shortages, and sustainability factors all contribute to companies lessening business travel overall, with less travel being less of an impact on the environment. But consistent travel can also be replaced by tech, a clear insight from the pandemic, with companies balancing business success with concrete needs. According to GBTA's Business Travel Index, the full recovery of business travel is not expected until 2026. But to get to that 2026 point, we should consider what business travelers want from their companies. Research shows that this includes safety and security on the road, such as keeping tabs on differing rates of recovery by region, considering factors like political instability in a travel destination, and working with leadership to align on processes and policies. Health and wellness on the road. Travelers want easy access to healthy meal choices. There's also discussions around creating travel wellness programs and implementing stress reducers. Additionally, there's a desire for food delivery perks, like a meal program while traveling. Greener travel options. Travelers are looking for more sustainable ground transportation, like low emission rides with Uber Green, as well as partnering with hotels and other vendors that prioritize sustainability. Increased choice and flexibility. Travelers have expressed interest in adding alternative accommodations like home style rentals and building bleisure into business travel policies. And finally, DEI integration. There are broader trends around seeking out and working with diverse suppliers and ensuring travel policies accommodate employees of all needs, such as nursing parents or individuals with disabilities. Findings from our first joint Uber for Business and GBTA ground transportation report support these findings from the previous slide from a travel manager perspective across the United States and Canada. Travel manager priorities include employee safety and wellness, sustainability and social responsibility, and policy compliance. Rental cars and rideshare are top business travel transportation options. And while 36% of travel managers include bleisure in their company travel policy, 49% say that their employees are often allowed to take these trips in practice. And for sustainability, research confirms this is top of mind. 50% of respondents to our ground transportation report says sustainability is very or extremely important in the design of their travel programs. So now that we have some data into today's business travel landscape, let's see anecdotally what corporate travel managers are experiencing. Kristina, Michelle, let's dive into it. Kristina, let's start with you. How is the climate for travel managers?
Well, navigating the travel world can be difficult with last-minute cancellation, changes, and inflation. We have spent time evaluating how we can mitigate these difficulties for our busy travelers. As a result, one of the things we've invested in is Uber for Business and Uber One. The features such as ride scheduling allow for more flexibility and reliability. In addition, we have recognized that so much of these challenges are out of our control, and we do our best to address them in real time. We strive to maximize our flexibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I certainly hear you on. There's unpredictability, and having to navigate that can certainly be a challenging situation. Michelle, what about you? What are you seeing?
Yeah, really the same. The staffing issues across the entire ecosystem have a ripple effect. If your flight can't go, you can't get to your hotel, you don't get to your car. So there's just been a number of challenges that we're facing. And I think if we focus specifically on ground transportation, the availability of cars, executive black car, have been something that we've struggled with, and it also leads to the staffing challenges. We've made some changes within our executive team, and they've started using Uber Black versus to mitigate some of these challenges, and it's actually been a nice experience for them. So they no longer, right, we don't want them worrying when they get out of the building, is my car going to be there or not be there? So they're actually seeing it on the map in real time, and we've set up dashboards to schedule on their behalf, but they actually really enjoy the flexibility and the ease of use just doing it themselves. So it's been a nice addition and change for us.
Yes, that's great to hear, Michelle, because travel, as we know, is a stressful experience. So certainly finding solutions, like you said, a premium solution like Uber Black that takes the stress off of that, knowing that you have the reliability of a car when you need it. Lord knows when you need it for an important meeting or a conference, or if you're presenting at a conference. That's absolutely great to hear. So what does business travel look like for Lincoln and Takeda? Kristina, let's start with you.
Thank you, Ariana. Business travel has picked up significantly over the past year. We are continuing to increase the number of in-person events and client meetings, as well as internal meetings. At Lincoln International, a key tenet of our culture is building social capital. We like to bring our employees and clients together in person to share ideas and achieve goals. while ensuring safety and wellness. We will continue to hold hybrid and virtual meetings as needed.
Excellent, excellent. And Michelle, what about you?
Sure. For us, we're one of the few companies who continued to travel during the pandemic. Patient care doesn't stop because there is a pandemic. So we were still on the road, and we learned pretty quickly that it was a different kind of travel, and we had to do a lot around education and really take in the voice of the customer. We were talking to people who were traveling, but then also talking to people about their fears about traveling in this environment, or how travel has changed really when travel sort of opened back up. A huge focus for us is purposeful travel and really thinking about sustainability and employee wellness. I think if COVID taught us anything, it did teach us about incorporating these areas into our life and into our travels. And as a very well-renowned CEO once said, it's saving the planet while seeing the planet. And that really resonated with me. And that's what we really are hoping to do. So that when someone's taking really that point where am I going to take this trip? Am I not going to take this trip? That it's not just the cost, but it's also their personal wellness and sustainability as well. And offering them better options to make it a more sustainable trip.
Right. And it's absolutely true that during the pandemic, healthcare were still among the essential workers that had to continue going into the office and taking care of patients. And of course, a big kudos to those that were on the front lines and dealing with this pandemic. So certainly contributing factors, like you said, employee wellness and sustainability. It's great to hear. So speaking of sustainability and employee wellness, I'd like to share how business travel works with Uber for Business. Some of you may be wondering, what is Uber for Business? Founded in 2016, Uber for Business is a platform for managing global rides, meals, and local deliveries for companies of any size. Built on top of Uber's technology, people, and values, Uber for Business is a unique offering that allows companies to leverage all the benefits of Uber at scale. Think of it as a single platform built for businesses to help move and feed their valuable assets, the people, employees, and customers that they serve. We have found that teams using Uber for Business work more efficiently and feel more in control when setting up programs around business travel, customer incentives, employee perks, and more. We have more than 170,000 customers, including more than 60% of the Fortune 500, that rely on Uber for Business for things like global availability, streamlined expensing, customizable controls and visibility, sustainable transportation options, and more. Our speakers will tell you more about this. Kristina, how does Lincoln International use Uber for Business?
Our US platform has shifted submitting expenses on your own for expediting the review for the accounting team, allowing for more efficiency, and has saved our accounting team substantial amount of review time. There's no more managing individual receipts. So employees can expense directly and immediately, entering in their correct information instead of waiting for the end of their trip. As a firm, we've also rolled out Uber One, further streamlining our capabilities. As an added benefit, employees can also use Uber One for personal and professional use, which has been very well received.
Uber One can certainly, like you said, be applicable for business use cases, as well as, if you want a little discount on your ride and meal wherever you need to go. So I'm glad to hear it. Michelle, how does Takeda Pharmaceuticals use Uber for Business?
For us, I would say the expensing feature has been really fantastic. And in fact, we had a travel fair and Uber had a table at the fair. And it was great to see the Uber representatives, grabbing people's phones and helping them get set up and have the expense. And so that was one benefit for us that I think is fantastic, where it just kind of flies in there automatically. Marriott points are something that everybody loves, their points. And so it really helps drive, people using the program. The data, the Uber for Business team, I cannot say enough about how amazing our account management team are. So when things come up or we have questions or even ideas that we want to do something maybe that's a little bit different, they've been great to work with. We've also done a number of programs. So ESG in general is very important to Takeda. So the sustainability piece has been really important.
Thank you, Michelle. As I mentioned earlier, Uber for Business can support business travel, customer incentives, employee perks, and more. I understand that Takeda uses our platform for more than just business travel. Michelle, can you walk us through that?
Sure. So during COVID, again, we were doing so many meetings, team meetings or meetings with each other, and you're holding these meetings, but you want to make it feel like an in-person experience. And we saw an uptick in Uber Eats because teams were sending out vouchers and using them. So we made some policy changes to allow for that before each person really needed to expense their own meal. So this concept of sending vouchers out, hey, we're having this workshop, it's a 4-hour workshop, order some food on us. And so the voucher program has become really, really popular. And also it really allowed us to make a policy change to incorporate that in.
That's great. And yes, certainly over the pandemic, we saw a big surge in Uber Eats. So it was great to hear that you're able to use Uber for Business to accommodate, helping folks get their meals taken care of with our Uber Eats platform. So now let's look ahead to where business travel is going. First, inflation, fuel shortages, and other economic and political instability will continue to contribute towards rising costs. We'll also still experience levels of uncertainty, mainly due to the war in Ukraine and further risk of COVID-19 variants and outbreaks. There's also car rental capacity constraints due to a lack of vehicles and a worldwide shortage of microchips. But despite the many projected challenges, there is still renewed vigor for travel, both for leisure and for work, for collaboration, in-person events, etc. So some key takeaways that I hope you will walk away with today: regardless of challenges, the demand for travel is increasing. Travel managers are tasked with increasing responsibilities, and they need tools to help. And Uber for Business offers an easy-to-use platform to help streamline corporate travel management and beyond. Now we'll turn it over to Q&A. Remember to please submit your questions to the Q&A icon on the left-hand side of your screen. So a first question that we have here: my employees already use Uber to travel for work successfully. What is the difference between Uber and Uber for Business? I'll answer this first, and then Kristina, I'll turn it over to you. Partnering with Uber for Business unlocks benefits and features that are only available on our platform. For example, your team gains visibility into every ride and meal ordered by employees using the Uber for Business platform. This level of visibility allows you to gain valuable insights into usage and spend. Think of how this can help with things like budget planning. Teams can also set and enforce policies around budget and use when employees use Uber or Uber Eats. From specifying drop-off or pickup locations to adding budget caps, teams can customize settings to ensure your company's policies are being enforced. And finally, another unique offering only available on Uber for Business is that customers will experience a suite of enhanced services like premium support and insurance. For example, if you accidentally left a laptop in a ride on the way to the airport, our premium support team is on standby 24/7 to ensure that any lost items are returned quickly. So that's my high-level take on the difference between Uber and Uber for Business. But Kristina, how do you see it?
So as I was stating before, Lincoln International, from our previous state, we were submitting those expenses just on your own personal Uber account, where you would have to remember to keep those receipts and expense later. Whereas for Uber for Business, it's centralized billing. So you'll work closely with account manager with Uber for Business to make sure that you have that direct linkage to your company account, which allows those charges, whether it's travel or meal charges, to go straight to your company charged account, and then you can bill later.
Yeah, definitely the seamless expensing was one of the first things I noticed when I started using Uber for Business myself as an employee. And like you said, it eliminates the need to have to screenshot the receipt, upload it later, etc. It definitely saves time and is probably one of the more tedious tasks after you complete a business trip. So I think fittingly, the next question we have is, are there any costs associated with getting started with Uber for Business? I'll take this one as well. No, there aren't any costs. And this is something that I personally think is awesome. It is free to use the Uber for Business platform, so you can get that visibility, control, and premium support that I was mentioning earlier simply by working with our team to create a managed ground transportation account. Our next question, how are you handling sustainability with business travel? Michelle, why don't you take that one?
Sure. So for us, this has been great. And kind of to touch back on the last question, the number one item with Uber that we educate people on, it's the difference of Uber and Uber for Business. Because they think, oh, I take Uber and I expense it, so I'm all set. So it's really teaching. And I mentioned in the travel fair earlier, that was a big part of that education process for the Uber team that were on site with us at a couple different locations. So for us with sustainability, it's very important to us. And we have actually worked with Uber to create a sustainability program where a portion of the rides then create an offset, and we choose kind of what that is and whether it's planting trees or it's some other things. And I would say the other thing with sustainability is Uber Pool is included in our commuter program. So again, 50,000 people in 80 countries. We don't want every single person driving their own car to work. So we have commuter benefits, and Uber is included in that benefit. Really, again, just another commitment to sustainability that we've done together.
Yeah, absolutely, Michelle. And to build on your answer, in addition to the customizable travel parameters and the visibility into spending and usage that Uber for Business provides, you can also get those sustainability insights you were mentioning into your business travel. So this gives companies the ability to track, report, and act on their ground transportation carbon emissions so that, like you said, if you want to take those reduced emissions and show how that's helping, increase the trees on the planet, for example, that's one data point you can reference. Some metrics that you can see on our Uber for Business dashboard include total CO2 emissions and the percentage of corporate rides taken with one of Uber's low emission ride options, such as Uber Green or Comfort Electric, for those premium ride options we were discussing earlier. So on a related question of how can I find out more about sustainability reporting through Uber for Business, you can either visit businesses.uber.com/sustainability-metrics and fill out the form, or make sure to make sure to send us a follow-up email in this webinar. We have a website that we'll be sharing shortly, so that way we can make sure we get you set up with more information for that. Okay. Next question that we have, I don't want to set up an entire travel program. What else does Uber for Business offer for more ad hoc transportation or meal needs? So this is a good question. I'll take this as well. Uber for Business also offers Uber gift cards and vouchers, which provide credits for rides and meals. They both are a great way to provide a unique gift to customers and employees. With gift cards, organizations pay up front, and then recipients can control how and when they use the gift card. Plus, they never expire. Vouchers, on the other hand, empower organizations to distribute Uber credit to recipients and set controls like expiration dates, location, restrictions, and/or day and time the credit can be used. Organizations then only pay for the rides and meals that recipients actually redeem. Next question, what expensing programs is Uber for Business integrated with? So we integrate with a number of the most popular expensing systems around the world, including Concur, Certify, and Expensify. With these integrations, employees don't need to fumble with receipts or worry about uploading them, which Kristina was mentioning earlier. Receipts will automatically show up in the respective expense solution that your organization is connected with. Okay, and our last question for the day, when employees travel globally, can they still use Uber for Business? And yes, they can. Your employees can access our Uber services in over 10,000 cities worldwide and experience a seamless expensing when you create a travel program with Uber for Business. Okay, and that brings us to the end of our webinar. Thank you so much, Kristina and Michelle, for joining us. To learn more about Uber for Business, please visit uber.com/business or contact our team by following the link on your screen for a custom demo. Thank you again for joining us and take care.